Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Sources close to the Tata Group say a truce is in sight as trustees work towards ironing out differences. Say all trustees agree on keeping Tata Sons private. The Tata Trust board is scheduled to meet tomorrow, a year since Noel Tata's appointment as chairman. TCS beats estimates in the second quarter. Margins and constant currency revenue growth exceed expectations. Announces strategic investments and a new business entity to build AI infrastructure. Total headcount reduces by 20,000 in the second quarter, dropping below 6 lakh for the first time in 3 years. Nifty and Sensex gain 0.5%, led by IT and metal stocks. Nifty ends near 25,200. Mid-caps outperform the blue chips. LG Electronics India IPO subscribed 54 times, attracts bids worth over 4 lakh crore, the highest ever for an issue of over 10,000 crores. 78 IPOs have raised $14 billion so far in 2025, making India the fourth largest market for new listings, following the United States, Hong Kong and China. Prime Minister Modi and his British counterpart hold bilateral talks in Mumbai, hailed the new vigour in India-UK partnership. Both nations announced a new £350 million defence deal. Prime Minister Modi says that 9 UK-based universities will open their campuses in India. Celebrations laced with caution across Gaza as Israel and Hamas agree on the first phase of a ceasefire deal. Hamas will release all hostages. Israel will release over 1,500 prisoners and withdraw from the enclave. More than 67,000 people have been killed in Gaza in the last 2 years after Hamas attacks killed 1,200 people in Israel. The toll in cough syrup-related deaths in Madhya Pradesh rises to 22 after 2 more children succumbed overnight. The owner of Srishan Pharmaceuticals, the company that manufactured the cold-riff cough syrup, has been arrested. Supreme Court will hear a petition seeking a nationwide drug safety review tomorrow. Veteran banker KV Kamath backs RBI decision to allow banks to fund mergers and acquisitions, calling it long overdue. Warns of hidden dangers in unsecured retail credit boom. Also says banks are spending too much on technology that won't take them anywhere. Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani tops the Forbes India rich list for the third consecutive year. He is the nation's only centi-billionaire with a net worth of $105 billion, followed by Gautam Adani and Savitri Jindal. The combined net worth of India's 100 richest individuals fell by $100 billion, primarily due to market volatility. On the eve of World Mental Health Day, actor Deepika Padukone wants to bring an end to chalta hai attitude in the film industry, highlights the gender bias on seeking equal pay and reasonable work timings. All right, first up, the day's market action. The Lal Street ended higher with Nifty and Sensex clocking gains of nearly 0.5%. IT stocks led the up move. Nifty ended near 25,200. Bank stocks underperformed the blue chips while mid-caps outperformed. Metal names also extended gains with the index soaring 2%. From equities to commodities, gold prices have eased marginally after touching an all-time high. However, prices of the yellow metal increased back home, led by festive demand and safe haven buying. Silver and other precious metals saw a similar minor correction globally after hitting record highs on safe haven demand. TCS beat Street in the second quarter. Margins and constant currency revenue growth exceeded expectations. Rima Tendulkar has the details.
Thanks so much for that. As you rightly pointed out, TCS has delivered a beat in Q2, revenue growth at 0.8%. This is a marked improvement compared to the revenue decline seen in the prior 2 quarters and ahead of expectations. Margins have expanded to 25.2%. Profits are down 5.5%, but this is on account of a restructuring related cost of 1,135 crore linked to severance. Deal wins have been robust at $10 billion and it's been a fairly broad-based growth. But what the street will like is this pivot towards aggression, towards this AI ecosystem. So look at some of the announcements that the company has made. In fact, let me start by saying the company in the press release talks about the company being on their way to be the world's largest AI-led tech services company. That's the aspiration that the company has laid out. They want to build a 1 gigawatt capacity AI data center in India. They've also made an acquisition. It's a small acquisition, list engaged. They will be spending $72 million. But just this is going to be the start of the company being very aggressive. And even this whole AI data center, it's about expanding into the AI adjacency. So the company has this 5-pronged approach of becoming an AI, a tech-led services company, the largest in India. And I think the street is going to like this pivot towards it because it was seen a bit conservative, and now it's making these big, bold bets, going aggressive, and I think the street is going to like, and coupled with the fact that, you know, the performance in Q2 has also been very robust.
Right, thank you, Rima, for that. The big story that we're tracking this evening, the boardroom tussle at Tata Trust could come to an end soon. Sources close to the Tata Group have said that a truce is in sight as trustees work towards ironing out differences. They are confident that the recent deliberations will lead to a resolution. We also learned that the trustees are united in their view that Tata Sons should continue as a private entity. The Tata Trust board is scheduled to meet tomorrow, a year since Noel Tata's appointment as chairman. Parikshit Luthra has more.
Ahead of Tata Trust board meeting on October 10, sources close to Tata Group are hoping the differences between trustees will be ironed out. Sources familiar with the matter say that all trustees of Tata Group have had time to reflect over the events of the past few days. They told CNBC TV18 that they're confident that deliberations of the last few days will lead to some sort of harmonious working among the trustees and Tata Sons board members. We also learned that contrary to some media reports, there was no difference among trustees on the appointment of Noel Tata as chairman of Tata Trusts. Noel Tata was in fact appointed as chairman of Tata Trust unanimously. All Tata trustees unanimously believe that Tata Sons should remain a private entity, even as the RBI had mandated a public listing of Tata Sons by September this year. Sources say that the government was obviously concerned about differences among trustees and therefore held a meeting with members of Tata Trust and Tata Sons on Tuesday. Apart from differences over the appointment of independent directors, including that of Anita George, Tata Group trustees were divided over the resignation of Vijay Singh as nominee director on the Tata Sons board. While the appointment of nominee directors above 75 years of age is reviewed annually, some believe there was no provocation or reason for Singh to leave the Tata Sons board, considering his immense contribution. We have been told that the Tata Trust board meeting tomorrow will only look at routine matters, including disbursement of funds for charitable purposes, and none of the contentious issues of the past few weeks will play out over there.
Right, thank you, Parikshit, for that. Shifting focus now, LG Electronics India IPO attracted bids worth over 4 lakh crore, the highest ever foreign issue size over 10,000 crores. Today was the last day of bids. The issue was subscribed over 54 times. Qualified institutional buyers led with subscription at over 160 times, which was followed by non-institutional investors and retail investors. The action is heating up in India's primary market. According to a report by Bernstein, 78 companies have raised a whopping $14 billion through the public market this year. This makes India the 4th largest market for new listings, only behind the US, Hong Kong and China. However, 26% of IPOs are currently giving 0 or negative returns. 25% of the issues are offering returns between 10 to 40%. 18% of the IPOs are giving returns of over 40%. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met his British counterpart, Prime Minister Starmer, and held high-level bilateral talks in Mumbai. Both leaders discussed ways to expand business, trade, education and defence cooperation between the two countries. Addressing a joint press conference, Prime Minister Modi said that the ties between India and the UK are driven by trustworthiness, talent and technology. He added that the trade agreement between the two nations will create more opportunities for the youth and industries. UK's Prime Minister hailed the trade ties between the two nations, calling it really important and the biggest deal the nation has struck since Brexit. Both the leaders also announced that 9 British universities will open campuses in India. Prime Minister Modi and UK's Prime Minister also met top Indian business leaders today.
भारत और यूके नेचुरल पार्टनर्स हैं। हमारे संबंधों की नींव में डेमोक्रेसी, फ्रीडम और रूल ऑफ लॉ जैसे मूल्यों में साझा विश्वास है। मौजूदा वैश्विक अस्थिरता के दौर में भारत और यूके के बीच ये बढ़ती हुई साझेदारी ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी और आर्थिक प्रगति का एक महत्वपूर्ण आधार बनी रही है।
It is the younger generation in India who will lead the charge to deliver on that 2047 target. The demand for the best quality higher education is very high, so I'm really pleased that we're announcing today that more British universities will be setting up campuses right here in India, making Britain India's leading international provider of higher education and delivering on our vision 2035 that we set out in July.
Prime Minister Starmer said that he discussed the issue of India buying oil from Russia. Remember, the United States has imposed a 50% tariff on India, partly for oil trade with Russia. Both leaders discussed ways to end the conflict in Ukraine, according to Starmer.
We did discuss this and looked particularly at the outcome that we both want. So Prime Minister Modi and myself, the focus on ending this conflict and the various steps that could be taken to that end. And that was a wide-ranging discussion, but we did set out the steps that we are taking in relation to energy, particularly on the shadow fleet, and the work of the Coalition of the Willing. On the consular cases, yeah.
US President Donald Trump has said that Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of his peace plan for Gaza after 2 years of fighting in the enclave. Israel and Hamas have confirmed the agreement. However, differences remain over the interpretation of how Trump's broader plan is to unfold. Israeli hostage and Palestinian prisoners will be released under the agreement. The deal will also see the withdrawal of Israeli forces and the entry of aid into Gaza. The deal will go into effect if it is approved by Israel's government when it meets today. World leaders have welcomed the news of the two sides accepting the deal.
I strongly welcome the news that a deal has been reached on the first stage of the peace plan in Gaza. This is a moment of profound relief that we felt around the world, but particularly for the hostages, their families, and for the civilian population of Gaza.
यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और गाजा के मुद्दे पर भारत डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से शांति की बहाली के सभी प्रयासों का समर्थन करता है.
French President Emmanuel Macron's office has said that he will nominate a new prime minister in the next 48 hours. The announcement followed 2 days of the outgoing prime minister's last-ditch talks with party leaders to break the country's political deadlock. The outgoing premier said that the possibility of dissolving parliament was beginning to fade following the talks. Ukrainian drone strikes killed 3 in Russia. Moscow claimed that it destroyed 53 Ukrainian drones overnight. Zelensky also said Ukraine's attacks on Russia's oil facilities had degraded them to an extent that the country was experiencing energy shortage. Both Russia and Ukraine have been targeting critical energy generating facilities as winter approaches. The big national story back home, Madhya Pradesh government has confirmed the death of 2 more children after consuming contaminated cough syrup. The total death toll now stands at 22. Ranganathan Govindan, the owner of Srisa Pharma, which manufactured the cold reef syrup, has been arrested. He and his wife had been on the run since the tragedy came to light and were caught in Chennai earlier this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear a plea seeking a court-monitored probe into the case. As per reports, the matter has been listed for urgent hearing and will be taken up tomorrow by a bench presided by Chief Justice Gavai. Central Drug Regulator is starting a pan-India drive to test and audit all cough syrup makers. Sources say the Central Drug Standards Authority has sought a detailed list from all states and union territories of all cough syrup manufacturers. Timsy Jaipuria has the details.
Well, that's right, what we are given to understand from key sources here at CDSCO, that this CDSCO has begun a pan-India crackdown on cough syrup manufacturers across the country. CDSCO has asked all the state drug regulators to give a detailed list of all cough syrup manufacturers across India, be it of any scale and size, that is either SME, MSME or large-scale manufacturers. All the list will be submitted here, and now, based on the list, the inspections, audits have started by a joint team of state regulators and CDSCO teams across India on cough syrup manufacturers for any violation of any of the norms under the Drug Control Act. Also, what we are given to understand, the packaging and labeling warnings also are part of this entire crackdown. Also, the packaging and labeling should say what should be the prescription, who should be prescribed a cough syrup. Children below 2 years should not be prescribed, and that has to be written. Apart from that, what should be the dosage and all the guidelines. And not just the finished product, but even the raw materials will be tested. The facilities will be tested whether they are of standard quality or not. The products which are getting manufactured, the facilities are found to be complying with all the good manufacturing norms or not. So all of this is going to get tested, audited and inspected, and based on which a future decision will be taken on who can actually manufacture or who needs to buckle up to manufacture cough syrups in India. So this entire drive has started given the fact the deaths that have been reported in Madhya Pradesh, especially noting that Tamil Nadu FDA found recent pharma to be violating several norms of drug manufacturing under the cold drift matter. And yes, not to forget, the sources also indicated that there are many such companies which are not even under the radar of the central drug controller, and thus this exercise will help them get all the cough syrup manufacturers under the radar of both state and central FDAs. So let's see what happens finally after this inspection, because this drive will continue for over 1 month now.
Hetero Pharma is under the US FDA scanner after it inspected its facility in Andhra Pradesh. The health authority has said that the pharma unit failed to follow quality control unit procedures. The FDA added that the raw materials and quantities do not support actual active pharmaceutical ingredients yield produced. Now, the pharma firm also failed to reconcile quantities of identification labels. It's a shot in the arm for Indian pharma companies. According to a report by the Wall Street Journal, White House spokesperson Kush Desai has confirmed that the US has shelved plans to impose tariffs on generic drug imports. Remember, India is the largest single source of generic drugs for the US market. In fact, Indian-made generics cost 1/5 of what it takes to produce in the US or Europe. SoftBank-owned crore will be opening a new AI engineering campus in Bengaluru. This will create 500 new semiconductor jobs with an investment of $1.3 billion over the next decade. The AI engineering campus will help in building the future of AI computing. In the first phase, the company will recruit 100 AI semiconductor or engineers in India. Coming up, an exclusive interview with actor Deepika Padukone on mental health and ending the chalta hai attitude in the film industry. And you can also catch all CNBC TV18's news updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X and Jio Hotstar. Do subscribe to CNBC TV18 Access for exclusive stories and special shows like The Editor's Playbook and many more. Here's a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Veteran banker KV Kamath has said that the Reserve Bank's sweeping regulatory changes open up equal opportunities for banks. The RBI had recently allowed banks to finance M&A. Now, Kamath believes that acquisition financing is an excellent avenue of business for banks. Speaking with Ritu Singh, he also warned about hidden dangers in the surge in unsecured credit. He also said that banks are spending too much on technology, which won't take them anywhere.
So I would think, looking at the risks at that point in time, the way business was being done at that point in time, that was something that was not allowed. And now, in a completely different context, I believe the Reserve Bank has done the right thing to open it up, because it's an excellent avenue of business for banks. It's not investing enough or not. They are investing a lot more than they ought to, but they're not investing it right. I'll make this very clear. Technology investments by big players in the fintechs around the world, in the financial services industry, not fintechs, around the world, they're not investing what they ought to invest. They're investing much more than what they ought to invest, but in things which will not take them anywhere. So they are basically taking forward legacies. You need to make a complete break from legacies and move to platforms which are current. That's not happening.
Actor Deepika Padukone wants to bring an end to the chalta hai attitude in the film industry work conditions, which she terms as brutal. Speaking with Shireen Bhan on the eve of World Mental Health Day, Deepika, whose organization works towards raising mental health awareness, said that people are talking about it more openly post-COVID. She also shared her views on the gender bias surrounding the 8-hour-a-day shift. Deepika said that many male superstars have been doing 8-hour shifts for years, but they did not make it to the newsreel.
I've been very vocal about this, that slowly but surely I am focused on bringing about change in the workplace as far as the Indian film industry is concerned, because it's brutal, right? And I think we have a tendency of working in a way that is chalta hai. If a system has been working well, or well, I don't know according to whom, but if it's been working well for this long, then why shake the apple cart? And I've never really been that person. I'm always looking at how can we better something? How can we better?
There's a lot of pushback coming your way as well,
so
and
now
very publicly so.
If, by virtue of being a woman, if that's coming across as being pushy or whatever, then so be it. But it is no secret that a lot of male superstars in the Indian film industry have been working for 8 hours for years, and it's never made headlines.
So why should it be any different for women?
I don't know.
But you're saying that the lens is different.
Yeah, I don't want to take names now and make this into like this whole thing. But it's very commonly publicly known about a lot of male actors who've been working for 8 hours for years. A lot of them work only 8 hours Monday to Friday. They do not work on weekends. Yes, I think the larger issue being that while the Indian film industry is termed as an industry, we've never really worked like an industry. We are a very disorganized industry. And I think it's time that we brought in some sort of, some systems into this culture of
Are you the lone voice, or are there at least other women who agree with what you have to say and would like to see
I also
this
know a lot
change?
of women now and newly turned mothers who have also started working 8 hours. But that also surprisingly didn't make headlines. So I'm not sure about this myself.
It's just you, is it?
I have no idea. But yeah.
But do you believe that you're going to have to pay a price for asking what you believe is fair?
I've done this at many levels, Shri. This is not new to me. I think even as far as pay is concerned, I've had to deal with whatever comes with, I don't even know what to call it, but I'm someone who I've always fought my battles silently, and for some strange reason sometimes they become public, which is not the way I know and not the way I've been brought up. But yes, to fight my battles and to do it silently and in a dignified way is the way I know.
All right, at India Mobile Congress 2025, the spotlight is firmly on the future of connectivity. From industry giants to policymakers, all eyes are on satellite communications, the next big leap in bridging India's digital divide. Ashmit Kumar gives us a wrap from the India Mobile Congress. Take a look.
India Mobile Congress 2025 has seen the who's who of telecom and electronics industry descend to the nation's capital. And one of the biggest talking points has been satellite communications. So as large players, the likes of Starlink, OneWeb, Amazon Skipper and Jio roll up their sleeves, the telecom minister Jyotiraditya Scindia is of the view that India will see the fastest SATCOM rollout in the world. So what does a SATCOM rollout in India look like?
Well, I think we are laying the complete substrate for the SATCOM in terms of appropriate rules, the regulatory framework, pricing, which will essentially unleash that sector. So just wait and watch. Lot of it is industry's hands, part of it is in our hands. Both of us are working together.
But the House was divided on the impact that the entry of SATCOM players will have on the Indian market.
When it comes to dense areas like urban, today satellite cannot compete with the quality of terrestrial networks.
To reach the right backhaul connectivity, satellite communication is the need of the hour.
That makes the job of the government and the TRAI that much more critical as they decide if spectrum is to be allocated or auctioned. The TRAI has asked for allocating spectrum to satellite players, leaving conventional telecom companies worried if satellite-based players will get spectrum at cheaper rates.
We are very clear on this. Same service, same rules, a level playing field. Why? Because these technologies serve, we use spectrum for the benefit of billions.
Another key talking point has been the government's decision to support AGR relief for Vodafone Idea. In fact, many suppliers to the company are counting on it.
There were some funding roadblocks with another operator, and some funds have been released, and so they are also going to deploy. I mean, they have a backlog to cover, so there will be an increased activity going forward.
With 5G well and truly here, the search for use cases continues. Private telecom networks and AI are in high demand.
We have been being very authentic about the value proposition out there. So larger players, mid-sized players, being authentic and saying as it is helping us win confidence of the end user and the partner ecosystem.
Everybody wants to have a discussion about AI. But you know, AI is not just one use case, right? I joked with, my wife was asking me, what's AI? And I was telling her, think of AI as a garam masala, right? It goes in every dish, right? So you can think about how we are enhancing the picture you take through AI, right? It's all in the background. It's not just Gen AI where you can ask a question and get put a prompt and get a response, right?
Well, the conversations on SATCOM, on AGR, on 5G use cases are all indicative of questions that the industry is asking right here at the India Mobile Congress 2025. In New Delhi, Ashmit Kumar.
Right, the latest edition of the Forbes Rich List is out. Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani is India's richest person for the third consecutive year in a row with a net worth of $105 billion. Infrastructure tycoon Gautam Adani and family at number 2 position with a fortune of $92 billion. Retaining the third spot on the list is Savitri Jindal of the OP Jindal Group. Telecom magnate Sunil Mittal and family were the biggest gainers, with his net worth increasing to $34.2 billion, seeing him climb 3 places to the 4th richest spot. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV18.